Caitlin with the Twinsburg Library here for some holiday fun where we're going to be making gifts, and there's nothing wrong if you want to make a gift for yourself, right? All right, so today we're going to be doing some finger knitting. And what is finger knitting, you may ask? It's something really cool where you can make really cool chains with your yarn and your fingers. So some of these gifts that we're gonna make today, which we're gonna make 3 of them, have a little extra like googly eyes or a piece of felt or a bead, but the main part of it is going to be finger knitting. And we're gonna make 3 projects today. They get progressively harder, but if you feel like you can do it, you can skip ahead to a harder one. The first thing we're gonna learn how to make is a 2-stranded bookmark, as you see here. Super easy. This is our easiest one, so you can fast forward here if you want to start out with that. The next one we're going to do is a 4-stranded, really cool necklacey, scarfy thing. And that one you can fast forward here if you want to start with that one. And the last one we're going to do is one of my favorite, is a little googly eye snake, which makes a really cool cat toy as well. And this one we're going to go from a 2-strand to a 4-strand. So this is the most difficult, but also the most fun. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, to make our bookmark, all you're going to need is your yarn, your fingers, and you're going to need a piece of felt in whatever shape you want. I used a sun for this one. This one's a flower. You can do a moon. You can do a plain old circle. You can do whatever you want, and a bead. All right, so then get started. We're going to do a simple 2-finger braid. So we're just going to pull off a little bit of our green. I'm going to make mine green like a stem. And we're going to use these 2 fingers. And we're going to start off by going between these 2 fingers so that the end is behind our hand. And we're going to go over and then around that finger. And we're going to go over the other finger. So we're making a figure 8. And we're going to do that one more time. So we're going to go in between the fingers, on top of your middle finger, back around the back, on top of your index finger, and there you go. So now you can see that each finger has 2 strands on it. So that's how we're going to start. And we're going to go ahead and pull our things a little bit tighter, move them up on our fingers, and we're going to pull the bottom loop over top like that. And then we're going to do the same on the other finger. So now there's only one, and I'm going to go ahead and pull those strings a little bit tight. And we're going to take the long strand that's connected to your yarn, and we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to grab that long strand, and we're going to pull it between your fingers, over top the middle, behind, over top the index, and we're going to do that again and pull the bottom string over the top. And then you're going to go ahead and pull the short tail, this one right here. We're going to pull that tighter so it makes it easier to work with. You can pull them both at the same time, kind of play with it a little bit, and we're going to do that over and over again until we get to be as long as you want your bookmark to be. Go ahead and pull, tighten, and don't worry if your loops aren't looking even, because they look kind of crazy now, but they'll even out as we keep going and keep tightening. So we're going to keep going, tighten, tighten, pull, and going, always starting from between your fingers. All right. Now that I've done quite a few and pulled it tight a few times, everything kind of evened out and it makes it look like a really cool braid. Now all we have to do is finish it off. So what we're going to do is you're going to go ahead and we're going to take one of your loops and flip it over to your other finger. So that way now you have 2 loops on the same finger. And you're going to do exactly like we did before and pull the bottom one over, tighten it up, pull that straight and tight, and then we're going to snip off the end just a few inches, just enough to work with. And we're going to go ahead and pull that through that loop on our finger, and you can go ahead and let it off, and there you go. Now you have a nice 2-finger braid. And to finish off our bookmark, I'm going to take the flower or whatever shape you have from before. We're going to cut a little teeny tiny slit in it, if you can see that, and we're going to go ahead and feed our strand through that hole, and then we're going to put our bead through to help hold everything in place. And then we're going to put it back through that hole. Like that. Get everything situated. And now I look like I have a flower with a stem. I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. I'm going to tie a knot, so I'm going to wrap it over my braid and then bring it through that loop like that. And I'm going to pull it up to the base of it and tie it tight. I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to bring it over top of my braid. I'm going to bring it back around and through that loop like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to weave in this end. So just at random points through your braid, we're going to pull it through. We're going to weave it through a couple of places, and then we're going to trim that braid. You want the last time you pull it through, if I can figure out which one I am, we're going to wrap it through just a couple of times to make it a little tighter. All right. And then you can trim it. Pull it tight. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing on the other end with this tail. We're going to want to pull it through a couple of times to make sure it stays nice and secure. Pull it down a little bit farther. Trim it up, pull it out, and voila, you have a very nifty bookmark. And oh by gosh, by golly, it's a fantastic gift for yourself or for anyone else you know. Now on to the next project. All right, our next project is this really cool necklace scarf thing. It's actually just one big long snape that I folded over on itself to make it look more like a necklace that it fits. So for this one, we're going to use all 4 fingers to knit, and I like to use some yarn that has all different colors in it because that way you get these really cool stripes on it. This one happens to be red and green and white, but they sell all kinds of colors that you can get them in sports colors, you can get them in fall or winter or spring colors. Just gonna go have to see. Or you can also do that in a solid color too. Doesn't matter. So for this one, we're gonna go ahead and start with our fingers. We're going to go ahead and put it through our pointer and our index finger so that the short end of the tail is behind. And we're going to go over top our middle, behind our index, over our pinky, and then back behind our pinky, over our index, behind our middle, and around your index finger. And we're going to do that one more time. So we're going to go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and around. And there we go. Now you can see that all of our fingers have 2 loops on it. And we're going to go ahead and pull the bottom loop over top of our fingers. And then we're going to go ahead and pull those loops from behind to make it nice and tight. All right. I like to keep my loops closer to the top of my fingers because it makes it easier for me to pull the loops off, but you can keep them at the base if you're having a hard time keeping control of it. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. You're always going to start with your long tail that's still connected to your yarn. We're going to go between our index and our middle. Then we're going to go over, under, around, under, over, under, over and around, and there you can see our 2 different ones. This is a nice yarn to use because you can start to see that we're going to have a couple of different colors going on here, which makes it easier to make sure that you're keeping your bottom and your top strings separate. So then, like I said before, we're going to go ahead and pull everything, make it tight, push everything down my fingers, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep going. So remember, always from between those 2 fingers is your starting point. And go over, under, like that. Make sure you get if every finger has 2, go ahead and pull it up. And we're going to keep doing this over and over and over again till you make it as long as you want. And these strands, you can do all kinds of things. If you're handy with a needle, you can make these long snake ribbons of these, and you can twirl them together and make pot holders or even hats. You can do all kinds of things with this base braid. But today we're just going to make the base braid and make it into a necklace. Maybe in the future we'll add another video if you guys seem to like this, and we'll show you how to make hats or things with this. All right, we're going to keep going. Now, I can see you wondering, this takes a long time to do, especially if you want to make it as long as mine is. What if I have to go to the bathroom, or what if I need a snack? Well, what you can do is you can get a pencil or some long stick, and you're going to go ahead and, I'm going to use my scissors because I don't have a pencil on me. You're going to go ahead and from behind, go underneath, 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 and now your fingers are free to go ahead and go do something, and then you can come back and just do it the exact opposite and put your fingers back where they were. Just make sure you keep that same pattern like that, so that way you can go and take a break when you want to. You can use a pencil, or you can also use a card that you cut slits into to make the place of your fingers, so you can keep them all separate if you find that easier. And there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and start fast forwarding so you can see how far we're going to go. All right, so I made this one a little shorter because I'm going to just turn it into a bracelet. This one, that was a necklace that was wrapped around twice, is about 8 feet long, so that one takes a while, but it's well worth it. So now I'm going to show you how to finish off our 4-finger braid. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to trim, give ourselves a good about 1.10 and we're going to take that braid and we're going to bring that back through like we were doing it before, and we're going to bring it up through all of the loops. So I'm going to bring it up through the middle finger loop, up through the index finger loop, which is easier said than done. We're going to bring it up through your pinky loop, and we're going to start to pull those. Oops, that one didn't actually go through. Fix that. And then we're going to pull off those 3, but make sure you keep it on your pointer finger because we haven't done that one yet. And then we're going to go ahead and pull it up through our last loop to bring the 2 far loops together. You're going to go ahead and pull it. And you're going to pull your chain, make sure that it's all nice and even. And then to finish it off, we're just going to tie those 2 ends all together. Like I said, this is going to be a shorter one. Maybe for a little friend, or I'm going to wrap it around my wrist twice and make it into a bracelet. All right, and if you're using multicolored, you can plan on your ending so that everything is seamless. This one, I did not do that. And then you can either weave in your ends, or for this one, I like to just trim it nice and close to the knot. And there you go. You got your nice round. I'm going to wrap it around twice. And now I have a fancy dancy matching bracelet to go with my matching necklace. All right, on to the next one. Yay! All right, on to our next project. This awesome snake. For this one, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because we're going to use 2 strands for our braiding. So I'm going to use 2 different colors. You can use the same color if you want. And then we're going to transition from the 2-stranded finger knitting to 4-stranded so that his head gets a little bit wider. And then obviously you'll need some sort of eyes. I use googly eyes, but if you can just use little round things of fabric like felt. And then if you're not using red in your snake, you need a little bit of red to add the tongue, which makes it more more snake-like. It's gonna be awesome. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my two different colors. My new snake is gonna be black and red. And we're gonna go ahead and start it on 2 fingers. And for this one, we're gonna use our middle and our index finger. And we're gonna go ahead and put start our yarn in between there so that our tail is in the back. And we're just gonna wrap these two between over our index, around that one, then bring it over our middle and around, and we're going to do that one more time. So we're going to bring it back through to the front of our index, wrap it around, front of our middle, and there you go. So now you can see that we've got 2 different strands of 2 strands, which is very confusing, but you can see it very easily. So we're going to bring the bottom 2 over top and kind of pull it tight. Bring the bottom 2 over our top 2 and pull it tight. All right, we're going to do that again. So we're going to bring it up through those 2 fingers, over top of the index, back around, over top of the middle, back around, and there you go. Now you want to do this nice and slow and carefully so you don't get all of these yarn strands mixed up. And then you're going to have to pull this small strand in the back to make sure it's going so you can see what it kind of looks like back here. All right, we're going to do it again. Over, under, and bottom over top. There you go. And then you're going to keep going with this pattern until your snake is as long as you want it to be. All right, now that my snake is as long as I want it to be, or you could keep going and make it a ridiculously long snake, or you can finish it off like we'll do at the end and you can just have this be your necklace, which is really cool too. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make our head. So we're going to transition from having it on 2 fingers to having it on 4 fingers. So to do this, we're going to go and start like we did before, but instead of wrapping it around our index, we're going to wrap it around our pinky and go on back under our index, over our middle, wrap it around our pointer, and bring it back. So now you can see we've got 1 on our pinky and 1 on our pointer, and we've got 2 sets on our index and middle. So we're going to do like we did before and just pull the bottom over the top on our middle and our index finger. All right, and now we're going to go through all that again. We're going to bring it through the middle of our middle and our index, over, around the pinky, under, over, under and around. And now you can see that we have 2 on all of our fingers. So now we're working with all 4 fingers and we'll do the same thing. We're going to bring the bottom over the top. And so now we're going to start getting that nice wide head for our snake. Like this, over, and around, under, over, around, and bottom over top. There we go. We're going to do this. Let's see, we're going to do it a couple more times, and then we're going to make it smaller so we get to his snout, his adorable little snout. So remember, always want to start from in between, just like we have been between our middle and our index. All right, you're going to want to do that 3 or 4 times, depending on how long you want your snake's face to be. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure. It's kind of all up to you. You can make your snake look a little different than somebody else's snake. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So now, whoop, bring that back around. So now we want to go back down to 2 fingers. So what we're going to do after we tighten this, we're going to take the loops from our pinky and slide that over to our index. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to take our pointer, slide that over to our middle. So now we're back to 2, and now we have 2 on our middle and our index, and we're going to do like we did before. We're going to bring the bottom over the top, like that. We're going to spread it apart nice and wide, and we're going to do one more. We're going to bring our middle over to our index, or your index over to your middle, it doesn't really matter. So now you have 2 on one finger, and we're going to do like we did before. Pull the bottom over top, and then we're going to trim our yarns like so. Just give us a couple of inches to work with. And then you're going to go ahead and slip those ends through that last one, and then we're going to pull it nice and tight, and there you can see we've got a nice wide head. So this one looks a little bit different. This one has a ridge on the front, and then this one has the ridges on the side. So you can make whatever one you want as your face. You might need to play with it and move it around a little bit. I like to have a nice wide head, so I'm going to pull it sideways, and then we're going to pull the rest of it, and you have your body of your snake. Now all that's left is to trim this off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and weave this through, all my ends through a couple of times on our head. So just pick a couple of random spaces to pull the ends through. Whoop. And we're going to pull it through this one too. Don't be afraid of pulling on it too hard. You can always fix it by pulling it a little bit. I'm going to do it one more time, so make sure my snake is nice and secure. All right, and pull his head back out a little bit, and then I'm going to trim that. So that way we have our snake. There we go. Takes a little bit of finagling. There you go. Now all you need to do is you can glue on your eyes like I did to this one here. And then he's missing his tongue, poor baby. So now he needs a tongue. So you want to take a little bit of red yarn. I'm just going to use the scraps I had before. And you're just going to weave that through by his nosy. Like that. Just a couple inches. And we're going to tie it. So we're going to make a loop like that. Pull it through from the back. So there you go, just a regular old knot. But we're going to make sure that one's pulled up towards the middle of it, because that's going to be the base of our V. There we go. So now we've got our snake with our tongue, and then you just have to add a couple of eyes, and we're going to finish off by the end. We're going to do what we did before, and we're just going to weave those ends into the back end of our snake. And find a couple of random, oops, let me pull it down, spots to weave it through, so that way our ends become a part of it, and then we'll trim our ends off, and we'll have our snake, like so. Trim that off, pull it, and there we go. Just add your eyes, and you are all set. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time. Let us know if you guys want more finger knitting tutorials. All right, see you guys. Bye.